Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into a trouble code that can be a real head-scratcher, P219A. If you've plugged in your scanner and this code popped up, you're in the right place. We're going to break down what P219A means, what causes it, and most importantly, how to fix it without just throwing parts at your car. So, what exactly is P219A? The official definition is Bank 1 air-fuel ratio imbalance. In simple terms, your car's computer, the powertrain, control module, or PC has detected that the mix of air and fuel in the first bank of cylinders isn't right. It's either too rich, meaning too much fuel, or too lean, meaning not enough fuel. Bank 1, by the way, is the side of the engine that contains cylinder number 1. If you have an inline 4 or straight 6, you've only got one bank. Your engine's PCM is constantly trying to maintain the perfect air-fuel ratio, which is about 14.7 parts air to 1 part fuel. It uses oxygen sensors, or O2 sensors, to measure the amount of unburned oxygen in the exhaust, the primary or upstream. O2 sensor for Bank 1 is the key player here. It tells the PCM how the combustion is going. If the PCM has to make extreme adjustments to the fuel, from either adding or subtracting a lot of fuel for a prolonged period to try and balance things out, it decides something is wrong and triggers the P219, a code, lighting up your check engine light. Now, let's talk about symptoms. Besides the obvious check engine light, you might notice a few things. Your engine might run rough, especially at idle. You could experience a loss of power or poor acceleration. Your fuel economy might take a nosedive. And in some cases, you might even hear a hissing sound from the engine bay or smell fuel. It's also possible you won't notice any symptoms at all, other than that annoying light on your dash. So, what causes this imbalance? The list of potential culprits is pretty long, which is why this code can be tricky. Let's start with the most common ones. First up, vacuum leaks. Any unmetered air that gets into the engine after the mass airflow sensor can throw the ratio way off. This could be a cracked vacuum hose, a bad intake manifold gasket, or a leaky PCV valve. Next, we have fuel system issues. Clogged or dirty fuel injectors are a huge one. If one or more injectors on Bank 1 aren't delivering the right amount of fuel, you'll get an imbalance. A weak fuel pump or a faulty fuel pressure regulator can also cause widespread fuel delivery problems that might trigger this code. Don't forget the ignition system. A bad spark plug or a faulty ignition coil on one of the cylinders in Bank 1 can lead to incomplete combustion. This unburned fuel and air mixture then travels down to the O2 sensor, which reports the strange readings to the PC. Of course, the sensors themselves can be the problem. While it's less common for the O2 sensor to be the root cause, a faulty or slow-responding upstream O2 sensor can definitely send incorrect data, leading the PCM to set the code. A dirty or failing mass airflow sensor, or MIF sensor, can also miscalculate the amount of air entering the engine, causing the whole system to be out of whack. Finally, a restricted exhaust can also be to blame. Think a clogged catalytic converter or even a crushed exhaust pipe. If the exhaust gases can't escape properly from Bank 1, it messes with the pressure and flow, which the O2 sensor will detect. Alright, let's get to the diagnosis. How do you pinpoint the actual problem? First, grab a good OBD2 scanner that can read live data. This is crucial. Start by looking at your short-term and long-term fuel trims for both Bank 1 and Bank 2. If you have a V engine, if Bank 1's fuel trims are high, say over 10% positive, the PCM is adding fuel to compensate for a lean condition. If they're highly negative, it's pulling fuel to correct a rich condition. Compare this to Bank 2. If Bank 2's trims are normal, it confirms the problem is isolated to Bank 1. If you suspect a vacuum leak, the old-school smoke test is your best friend. Pump smoke into the intake system and look for any puffs of smoke escaping. This is the most reliable way to find hidden leaks. To check the fuel injectors, you can use your scanner to perform an injector balance test. Another method is to listen to each injector with a mechanic's stethoscope. They should all make a consistent, rapid clicking sound. If one sounds different or is silent, you've likely found your problem. You can also check fuel pressure with a gauge to rule out the pump and regulator. For the ignition system, inspect the spark plugs on bank 1. Look for signs of fouling, wear, or damage. You can also swap coils between cylinders, or even between banks, to see if the problem follows the coil. Testing the MAF sensor involves checking its readings at idle and under load with your scanner. The readings should increase smoothly as you rev the engine. If they're erratic or don't change, the sensor might be dirty or failing. Fixing the P219A code is all about correctly identifying the cause. Once you've found it, the repair is usually straightforward. Replace the leaking vacuum hose, clean or replace the faulty fuel injector, install a new spark plug or coil, or clean the MAF sensor. After performing the repair, clear the codes with your scanner and take the car for a drive cycle to ensure the code doesn't return. Remember, diagnostics are key here. Don't just replace the O2 sensor because the code points to the air-fuel ratio. More often than not, the sensor is just doing its job by reporting a problem that lies elsewhere. I hope this guide helps you tackle the P219A code with confidence. It can seem intimidating, but with a systematic approach and the right tools, you can figure it out. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more deep dives into car repair. Drop any questions you have in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.